everyone, and welcome back to Where Next, the channel that helps you figure out where you're going to move next as the climate changes. Today we're tackling a city that's famous for one thing above all else: the heat. Yeah, we're talking about Phoenix, Arizona. You probably already know it gets incredibly hot there, but what you might not know is that it's also one of the fastest growing cities in the US. It's a magnet for people leaving expensive places like California in search of a lower cost of living and jobs in Arizona's booming tech or health sectors. But as the planet warms, this raises a crucial question. Will the Valley of the Sun still be livable in 2050? That's what we're here to find out. In this video, we'll be scoring Phoenix on 7 categories that we believe are important to consider when looking for a future home in a world impacted by climate change. Phoenix is a city working hard to adapt, but it's up against some truly formidable challenges. Let's break down how Phoenix scored across each of our categories. Number 1, weather and climate hazard risk. First up, let's talk about the climate itself in Phoenix. Let's be honest, it's not temperate, and it's projected to become even more extreme. Back in 1990, Phoenix saw about 7 days per year above 110 degrees Fahrenheit. By 2050, that's projected to skyrocket to an average of 47. That's almost 7 times as many days above a truly scorching temperature. Maricopa County, which includes Phoenix, is also projected to endure 100 days with a heat index of over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, or greater by 2050. The heat is so intense that residents describe daily life from May to October as absolute hell, deathly hot, and very unfun. During those intense summer months, daily life is pretty much confined to the indoors, and air conditioning isn't just a luxury, it's a necessity for survival. Even nights can be challenging, with temperatures often staying in the high 90s. This prolonged extreme heat shapes almost every aspect of daily life, from leisure activities you can take part in to the amount of work you can accomplish as an outdoor laborer. If a multi-day power blackout were to coincide with a heat wave, half of Phoenix's residents would require emergency medical attention. And it's not just heat. While overall rainfall might decrease in the Southwest, Phoenix is expected to see less frequent but more intense downpours. This creates a paradox where you might have less water overall, but still face significant flood risks. In fact, over the next 30 years, buildings in Phoenix face, on average, a 21% chance of flooding over 2 feet. Then there's the wildfires. The number of dangerous fire weather days is expected to increase through 2050. This, combined with already poor air quality, creates a serious health hazard. Phoenix is not naive to these hazards and is building infrastructure to address them, which we'll talk about later. But because of all the climate trends working against them, we scored Phoenix 2.5 out of 10 for weather and climate hazard risk. Number 2, water supply. On a more positive note, here's one place where Phoenix shines. The city is serious about water, and it shows. Phoenix has a long-term commitment to securing a 100-year water supply by using only 2/3 of their Colorado River allocation and directing the rest to groundwater recharge. This is a process where the city intentionally puts water back into the ground, storing it in underground aquifers for future use. It's like a savings account for water, and it's a huge part of how Phoenix is planning ahead. Plus, they recycle an impressive 90% of their wastewater for beneficial uses such as irrigation. Despite significant population growth, Phoenix actually uses the same total water volume today as it did in the 1950s, a huge testament to their conservation efforts. But the amount of snowpack that feeds the Colorado River Basin has been dwindling since the 1950s, and the size of Arizona's share depends on how negotiations go. It's top of mind these days as the current water sharing rules will expire in 2026. So while Phoenix is doing a lot of preparation for water security, it's dependent on broader regional water policy and climate outcomes. Still, overall, this is a strong performance. So for its water supply, Phoenix gets a 7 out of 10. Number 3, food security. Maricopa County is a big agricultural producer, with about 1,500 farms spanning 500,000 acres in 2022. The market value of agricultural products sold was over $1.5 billion. But this agricultural productivity is highly dependent on irrigation. In 2022, 41% of the farmland was irrigated, and this heavy reliance in a water-stressed region creates a direct conflict between agricultural productivity and urban water demands. If the water supply fails, the food sources will quickly follow. Food security is still a concern. In 2022, 12% of Maricopa County's population was food insecure. So while the farms are producing a lot, many residents struggle to afford or physically access that food. And a 2024 community needs assessment confirmed this failing, as food and nutrition support was the most frequently reported community need. Climate-induced economic shocks, like reduced workdays due to extreme heat, could directly exacerbate these issues and lead to increased reliance on food imports and higher food prices by 2050. So considering its agricultural output versus affordability, Phoenix gets a 4 out of 10 for food security. Number 4, government and infrastructure. This one's a mixed bag. Phoenix's leadership has shown a strong political desire and a proactive approach for climate action. The city has a comprehensive climate action plan aiming for net zero emissions by 2050 or sooner, with an interim target of a 50% reduction by 2030. They've also implemented innovative policies such as the first publicly funded Office of Heat Response and Mitigation, a direct response to their primary climate threat. Their investments in green infrastructure, like increasing the city's tree canopy, are also positive steps towards lowering surface temperatures and reducing the need for energy-intensive air conditioning. However, the city's infrastructure itself presents a challenge. In 2020, the American Society of Civil Engineers issued a report card analyzing Arizona's various infrastructure. Drinking water and wastewater infrastructure both received a C-, as several water mains are about 30 years old. While the Phoenix energy grid is a standout, ranking 7th nationally for reliability, utility companies say they'll need to double the grid size in the next 15 years to meet rising demand from tech, industrial production, and the growing population. So, while Phoenix's governance is forward-thinking, its aging physical infrastructure may struggle to keep up with the demands of a changing climate and a growing population. So, we give Phoenix a 6 out of 10 for government and infrastructure. Number 5, economic opportunity and cost of living. You can't move somewhere if you don't have a place to go, or if you can't afford to live there. And housing affordability has been a huge issue. As of now, if you're looking to buy a home in Phoenix or the wider Maricopa County, you'll be paying more than the state and national average. In the rental market, things are a bit different right now. The average rent for all property types in Phoenix was $1,900, which is actually lower than the national average. There's been a significant increase in supply, with 23,000 units under development, pushing the overall vacancy rate to 11.9% in early 2025. This means more options and potentially better prices for renters in the short term. But here's the kicker. In 2023, rent prices were typically between $1,500 and $2,500 per month. That's a $1,000 per month increase over the previous 5 years. So it's unfortunately no surprise that in 2024, Maricopa County saw an all-time high record number of evictions, over 87,000. On the job market, the outlook is a mixed bag. The greater Phoenix area has a growing and diversifying economy, having over 2.5 million non-farm jobs by the end of 2024. Key growth sectors include healthcare and the emerging green economy. But this does not indicate if the new jobs will significantly raise the current median salary. So while there is economic opportunity in Phoenix, is it enough to support you and your family? Also, a significant vulnerability for Phoenix's economy is the extreme heat. Outdoor workers who make up about 20% of Phoenix's workforce could face significant economic losses, projected to be about $5,000 in earnings per year by 2065. After all, if it's so hot that you might suffer heat stroke, you simply can't work that day. So while Phoenix offers robust job growth, especially in forward-thinking industries, the high cost of living presents a serious problem. For this reason, Phoenix gets a 5.5 on economic opportunity and cost of living. Number 6, social stability and health. While Phoenix has considerable capacity for public services, especially in healthcare, there are significant underlying social vulnerabilities. A 2024 community needs assessment in Maricopa County found that nearly half of survey respondents earned less than $35,000 annually, and over 2/3 reported having trouble paying for basic necessities like rent, food, or healthcare. While the public services, like healthcare, are substantial in Maricopa County, that doesn't mean they're ready for the strain on the system that 2050 will bring, especially if Phoenix's population keeps growing. Between the extreme heat and the fact that it's already an uphill battle for many families across the county to afford care, the hospital and emergency systems are going to be put to the test. Phoenix's educational system is in a challenging position, with Arizona ranking last for public education for the second year in a row, especially for school funding. There are a few standout districts and charter schools in Phoenix, but they get far more funding than most. So even with some support systems in place, equitable access and quality of services for all residents will be a major challenge by 2050. For these reasons, social stability and health receives a 5 out of 10. Finally, number 7, the vibe check. What is it truly like to live in the city day in and day out? Residents say that the vibe of Phoenix is one of extreme contrasts. On the one hand, you have access to breathtaking desert landscapes and a culture of outdoor activity. But on the other hand, the pervasive heat puts a hard limit on when you can actually enjoy those things, making an indoor-centric lifestyle a necessity. But the city itself does have a lot to offer. Its Hispanic influence is reflected in its food culture, with a strong emphasis on Sonoran-style Mexican food. You'll also find a lot of hip, cool coffee shops and bars, especially in revitalized areas like the Roosevelt Row Arts District. In fact, the city has a vibrant LGBTQ+ community, particularly in the Melrose District, which is known as the city's gayborhood. However, we have to bring back the issues around cost of living. So while there are a lot of fun and diverse things to do, the question becomes, can you enjoy them comfortably? Also, just from what we've read online, people either seem to really love it or really hate it in Phoenix. So we're just going to split the difference and call the vibe check a 5 out of 10. Taking all of this into account, Phoenix gets an overall climate resilience score of 5 out of 10. Phoenix is actively fighting to adapt and build resilience, but it's also a place where the realities of an intensifying desert climate will demand continuous large-scale adaptation from both the city and its residents. So it's hard to say definitively how successful their efforts will be. What are your thoughts on Phoenix's future livability? Would you consider moving there? What other cities would you want us to deep dive into? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video if you found it helpful and subscribe to Where Next for more climate resilience research. Thanks for watching and we'll see you next time.